sun with me, so I can show you something you've never seen. And both you and I shouldn't be too shy about letting go for once. Come and be free with me. Just look straight ahead, don't you stay behind, don't stay behind. Trying to make you feel right, 'cause our stars are aligned. Can I make up your mind? Follow me to the light, there is so much we can do in this life. Let it sink in, this is where we begin. All that you need to know, now that you understand what I'm trying to show you, is that you and I shouldn't be too shy about letting go for once. Come, let your spirit glow. Just look straight ahead, don't you stay behind, don't stay behind. Trying to make you feel right, 'cause our stars are aligned. Can I make up your mind? Follow me to the light, there is so much we can do in this life. Let it sink in, this is where we begin.
Here's a lockpick. It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you.
Looting through the rubble, leaving cities war-torn, still incurring more scorn. Ragged and I'm forlorn, trying to unlock this. Open with my lockpicks, punching with my second hand every time the clock ticks.
There you go.
Hang on a bit. Sorry about this. This is this has been quite a day so far. Let's just put it that way here. Trying to figure out which cable's what. I believe it's this one. Cut that one off. Unplug. Plug back in. Okay, hopefully don't worry, those aren't for me. Hopefully this means that I can read it now. Although what's weird is, there we go. Okay, are we good? Okay, awesome. Just want to warn, not only is this stream going to be extremely slapdash here, but this is literally probably going to be one of the shortest live streams I have ever done, not just on this show, but in general. Although we're getting a good amount of people now, I'm wondering if we're gonna need to start streaming at this hour. And thank you for the opening there. Don't worry, I'm still paying for that. There's an amazing pick, by the way, that lockpicking dev made for me. I'm still paying for it, but I'll explain in a moment of how I'm busy, and we're gonna kind of intro it. We're gonna take a break, fool around with this, and then go. It's honestly at max this stream's gonna be an hour. If not, it's literally probably gonna be 30 minutes. The next episode on the 17th, I'll redo this in the beginning and we'll go on to a different topic. So, just for a warning out there, not to give everyone's hopes up, we normally stream for at least 2 hours. I'll explain why today's been a mess. First of all, this is not Crypto Barons. That's the other show that I do. No, 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 no. This is the Master of Unlocking, which, by the way, I also just want to mention here that I know I said previously that we would be trying a new sort of God, everything's a mess in that corner. Hey there. We would be trying a new overlay. Um, Unfortunately, I've had huge memory problems with this machine. So what would have taken a 2-second download, I had to get another computer, download it to the stick because this is so low on memory, it can't even save to external stuff apparently, and then put it back on here. And then there was too much tutorial stuff to get into. And wow, I'm actually shocked at how many people. Maybe I should stream early on the weekends. I'm like legit shocked by this. Okay. This is a new one for me. All right. Holy crap. We are going to get into the opening in a moment. So just give me a moment here. So, hi everybody. Actually, one last thing. Let's see if we can get the high quality um microphone going. All right. Let me know if I'm chipmunking here. Just give it a couple of seconds. Okay, this is the better microphone. Yay. Sorry about everything, but let's do the introduce. Yes, I am doing it earlier than normal. I'm going to explain in a moment why. Hi, everyone out there. I'm Sidepocket. I'm one of the two co-founders of DCG 201, formerly known as DEF CON 201 or DC 201. We are one of the many, many, many awesome DEF CON hacking groups across America and around the world. If you want to find out more information about us, wow, there's a lot. Why are there so many people? Should I just start streaming at like 4 or 5 p.m. on the weekends? Like, where are all you people coming from? On like literally what's going to probably be the worst episode, so I apologize in advance. But if you want to know more about us, currently, again, we're still redoing our website, but our Medium blog is still active. Like, this is probably going to be like the lowest point of DCG 201 stuff. We're also available on all sorts of social media, such as our Twitter at DEFCON21NJ or Instagram at DEFCON201. We're also on a bunch of other things like GitHub and the Hostux.social instance of Mastodon and everything. If you want to know all of our social media sites and streaming stuff, we have some. Well, normally I'd say we have some on the website, but instead I have a link tree here that lists pretty much all of them. Lastly, if you like the stuff that you're going to see today in this short episode, you can follow, like, and subscribe to us on Twitch, DLive, and YouTube. Why is everyone coming in? I love that this is going to be the stream where I mess up everything, and there's all these people in today. Oh, God. I hope you're not hungover there, Dark Arts. Good luck with that. You know, you can follow, share, subscribe to us on Twitch, DLive, and YouTube if you like the sad content you're going to see today. And, what was I going to do? We subscribe to us. If you subscribe to us while we're watching, not only do I cheer you on, you don't have to subscribe while we're streaming. It's just to get some nice cheers and stuff. But you also get alerts from when we come online. We are also streaming to Diodezone on PeerTube, which is awesome. Yay, independent streaming. And we should be streaming on Facebook. I have to double check it because I might have to reconnect it. If you are watching on Facebook, there is a way to chat with us, but you kind of have to like hack Facebook a little bit, but like in the legal sense. So here's the link that you go to in order to get the Facebook chat working. So without further ado, we're going to do the intro to the stream. I'm going to explain why we're streaming early, why I'm so late despite streaming early, and all the calamity going on. Don't worry, I'm fine. DCG201's fine. Long story short, I'm going to repeat again. Basically, too many people fucked in May. That's what happened. Too many people fucked in May. But
let's talk about this. So in addition to streaming our meetups, which is third Friday every month, we're in process of trying out a new venue. There's nothing wrong with Subculture. We love them to death. We just wanted to explore more opportunities. We're probably going to go back to Subculture in like 3 months or so, because in May we're having a big one at a different location. And I believe is going to be on the 15th, which is tax day. And I'm hoping to post information about that this upcoming Friday. So stay tuned. It's going to be really cool stuff in person and in online. However, in addition, we often also stream specials and special interest group shows, and this is one of my longest running them, arguably my most popular one for me as a member. Other members are allowed to stream stuff too, which just everyone's in flux right now, so it's just been these 2 shows for the past bit. This one's called Master of Unlocking, and this is where I, as a member of TOOOL, not a master of TOOOL, but a member of TOOOL, and someone who's instruct both TOOOL meetings, our own meetings, and conventions such as MagFest and Hackers on Planet Earth and things like that, teach you about how locks work, how physical security works, the exploits of those securities, and how you can do things like lock picking and bypass techniques and stuff in order to defeat security on physical stuff, again, like as locks. U.S. Taxpayer Day. Really? Did they delay it? It's traditionally on 15th, and I know the previous 2 years we had last year we had the pandemic, so they moved everything to June. I'm still going to call it tax day. It's normally April 15th. I don't know. But regardless, it's going to be on April 15th. We're going to make announcements on Friday for that. So, again, this show is about, lockpicking and lock sport. And as I said, for the past couple of episodes, I've gotten a bunch of stuff in the mail. And we're finally going to look at Dimple Locks. I feel so sad because I really want to spend like 2 hours on this subject. But I'll put this, what's basically happened. Friday was the 2600 meeting, a meetup munch with a bunch of birthdays in it. Then yesterday was my friend's birthday, and I didn't come home until like 7:30 a.m. in the morning. And then I set this now because essentially starting at 7, I have to go to another thing where I have 4 friends having a birthday all on the same day. And their thing's going to go from 7 to 11, no relation to the store. So basically, too many people, one point many moons ago, fucked in March and then had all their kids in late March, early April. I'm later April, so good for me. And so this weekend's crazy. The worst part is, should I delay tomorrow? No, I can't, because not only do I have a job training, but that afternoon I have to immediately go into an event in New York for another friend's birthday from 6 to 11. And then Tuesday is supposed to be our, which is going to be our return for, what's the name of the show? Crap, my brain's failing me. Not Halt and Catch Fire. What's the name of the show? Well, there's a Tuesday show, and then I have Crypto Barons, and honestly, I'm also been trying to move partway across the city, so I'll still be in New Jersey and Jersey City, just in a different location, and fucking... I didn't want to delay it to next weekend because I kind of don't know. Like, I can easily stream Crypto Barons next week. I don't know if I could stream this next week. I have to wait to our next episode on the 17th, which is Easter, and will be our Easter special. So yeah, unfortunately, this is the curse of eventually, after growing up with no friends and then having, as soon as I hit college, a shit ton of friends and people, just people I literally haven't seen. Some I haven't seen because of the pandemic in like 2 to 3 years, but there's been other people where I just haven't seen them in like a decade, and so I was, trying to see them today. So that's what's going on. That's why we're so late. So again, we're probably going to stream until the latest at 6:30. Believe it or not, in a couple of minutes, so I'm going to intro what we're doing. I'm going to go on a very short break because I actually have laundry running. This is that type of day. I so wanted to delay this and do like a Crypto Barons, Master of Unlocking back to back. But literally, I didn't know what I was going to be next week. And, like, I couldn't even delay this a day because I have too much going on. Like, the meeting's going to be good this month. Everything else is going to be good this month. And for the next couple of months, it's just this weekend is, like, hell week. So that's what's going on. So, before we get into the stuff for today, and then in about 5 minutes I have to go do laundry and then I'll be back. I want to go over that even though I'm a TOOOL member, I'm not like a master or anything. In fact, there's voting season going on. Vote for Night Owl. He's one of my mentors. Also a longtime friend. Vote Night Owl. Endorsement. Master of Unlocking officially endorses Night Owl for running. There's other great candidates too, but like vote for Night Owl if you can, if you're part of the open organization of Lockpickers, which I'll actually put their URL in the chat. But there's two awesome rules that Tools follows, even though Tool is not a sponsor or anything of this stream. And it's just general, helps. It protects me, it protects you, it protects your equipment that we're going to go through. So as usual, here's the spiel. Two rules we're going to follow. We start any episode, whether it's pre-recorded in the past, current right now, or in the future. So first of all, do not pick locks that, I hope so too, but one, do not pick locks that you rely on. You have no idea. And also, R.I.P. Deviant Olem. He's not dead. He's retiring because he's done way too much for the lock community over the past, 8 million years. But yeah, do not pick locks that you rely on is the first rule. You have no idea how many times when I teach this stuff, how many people... oh, you have no idea. I live near him, okay? You have no idea. Anyhow, a longtime friend of his. But, and that was my alarm for the laundry, but I'm still going to go through everything first, so just hang on. So one, do not pick locks that you don't own. You have no idea how many times when I teach this stuff, how people immediately want to pick the front door of their house or their gym locker or something. Please don't do that. For a couple of reasons. Every time you do an exploit or exploit technique, you will eventually, this is all my washing stuff for today, by the way. If you're wondering what all this is face masks and things like that. Again, I have to take the quickest shower and then go. But back to topic here. Every time you pick a lock or you do a bypass for a lock, it's more susceptible to that picking technique or bypass, so it makes it easier over time. And if you're relying on it to secure something, that's a bad idea. You'll also eventually wear out the mechanisms in the lock faster than you use just using the normal key and wear and tear of the weather and time and age, and you will break that lock very sooner. You will also have a chance of breaking your own tools. It happens to everyone, but it's terrible when it happens, especially when you have backups. Or my favorite is that you break the lock that you rely on and the tool that you're using at the same time. So just please do not use any locks that you rely on. Second of all, do not pick locks that you don't own. If you see, as we cover this episode, hey, that's that Dimple Lock right there. He showed me the tool that I got from Covert Instruments, blah, blah, blah. Shout out to, because I love when lockpicking lawyer shills his own company. I'm going to go, don't do that, because you're on another person's property. You didn't have permission to do on that lock, okay? So that's trespassing. No matter how shitty the lock is, they probably put that lock there for reasons. It's just a bad idea. It's a great way for you to get beaten up by cops. I should know, certified brown person. So once again, do not pick locks that you rely on. Do not pick locks that you don't own. All the locks that you see today are locks that I own, that I only use to teach myself and others how to pick locks, and I give consent for everyone else to use them when I bring them. So that's why when you see the locks on here, they literally, I never use them to secure anything. They all go back in my kit. To be used for future students and myself. So without further ado, let me read here. If you want, pick your lock on your front door, take it off. Yeah, put a new lock on. If you're retiring a lock that you don't rely on, and also that lock you own because it's on your it's on your property, yes, you can do that. I've had so many ex-neighbors of mine and people that I know who had their door broken down, or they are replacing their locks, and they essentially give me their own locks, and it becomes part of my test kit. So anyhow, I'm going to tell you what our episode's going to be about, and then I'm going to go on a very short break with some music, and then we're going to get into it for about roughly half an hour. What we're going to be covering is, we cover all sorts of different types of locks on the show. I'm still expanding my training kit. It's basically roughly halfway done, believe it or not, despite weighing 8 million pounds. I have a lot more stuff to add to it. And a big one that I have been wanting to do is that for a while we have been covering pin and tumbler locks, just because they're the most, 92 to 95% of the locks in the entire world. In the United States, it might as well be 99.9% of locks are your classic pin and tumbler locks, where you have the tube, the key, and everything, and all of that, right here. Also, I don't have the Elmo today, so I'm sorry if everything seems kind of fuzzy. I'm trying to either get the Elmo back or have a better camera soon. Again, just everything's crazy right now. It's fine. I'm good. There's rap music that's going to get us demonetized, even though we're not, and now the cops are chasing them because welcome to Jersey City. But everything's up in the air, but don't worry. Things will go back to normal soon. Just want to put that out there. But what instead we're going to be covering, after we come back from our short break, is Dimple Locks, which, if you've ever seen a weird sideways slot like this, or it's even weirder keys, you probably have seen something maybe like this before. In the United States, these are really rare. You might have seen these. The company called mul-t makes a type of lock that is similar to this. We're going to get into that in a moment. But we're going to kind of get into what makes this different from this, the type of tools that you would need to do it in order to open this lock, how that mechanism works to open it, and after the fire department chases the guy with the rap music, we're going to try this ourselves. So again, I'm sorry for the really short stream. I have to go put laundry from the washing machine to the dryer. I'll be right back. Enjoy the music. Just literally give me 3 to 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Stay tuned, everybody. And we are back. Hey, everybody up here. Sorry about that. Don't worry, you didn't miss too much. I think we're going to stream until like 6:20, 6:30 my time, EST, Eastern Standard Time. Simply because, waiting to find out if I get to return to work with my niece. Hopefully I'll do, but I'll be on the night shift a little while. I can't be on my legs for too long. Trust me, I have to go to work tomorrow after all of this, and it's like I literally have my first shift. I wake up at like 6:30 in the 6:30 in the morning to get at 7, and then that shift ends around 9:10. Then at 10:30, just because I have to go to a stupid job training thing, they're like retraining all of us, and that's going to take so long that I just go right to my second shift, and then I have to go home, switch out of my work gear to my normal gear, and go directly into Manhattan on Monday. So, I know exactly how you feel. Anyhow, I'm back. So we're going to stream on for like the next 20 minutes or so. Again, sorry for this being a short stream. And let's get into all the fun stuff that we have down here. There we go. So what most of you are probably familiar is with this. And just a quick overview on how, let me put this aside, how this particularly works. This is if you could have x-ray vision, this is what you would see in a normal padlock. Again, I don't have the Elmo, so everything's like out of focus and stuff like that, and I can't really go super detailed into it. Again, in the future, I'll have the Elmo back or a better camera. Which do you pay more attention to, Twitch or YouTube? So real quick, my goals for this, for what we do with the live streaming, is we're just trying to just get out to as many people as we can, even if it's only like 2 other people. And 2 is that when we do stuff that's recorded and live stream, we want to save copied archives of it. That's our goal. So, I'll put it this way. We are over 1K subs on Twitch. We're nearly 1K on YouTube. We have a bunch of people on our Facebook, on D-Live, shockingly enough. We have over 100 people on D-Live, which basically should be, we're like 1 million sub equivalent on Twitch. And a bunch on, I know people watch us on Diode Zone and stuff like that, so that's kind of our goal. I have debated, and we are going to put up at a vote in the future, if we should still broadcast to multiple streams simultaneously, or should we just focus on either just Twitch or just YouTube. I'm kind of iffy about that because I know a lot of the lock sport scene is on YouTube, and I don't want to cut those people off, although I'm sure you guys wouldn't mind watching the stuff already recorded later, like with most lockpicking channels, although I do think the fun of this is to watch this live. Because if you go exclusive on either Twitch or Twitch or YouTube, oh god, the music. What happens is that they give you like a ton of perks that are unique to that, and we don't get any because while we're qualified to be partners with these streaming companies, we're unable, because we stream to everything else simultaneously, we're unable to. Hopefully my dock says can't wait more time off. If you are if you are handsome enough and you got enough junk in the trunk, that could be a viable job opportunity. I don't know what it's like in Australia, but I know in the United States, despite our Puritan nature, that's one way to make cash. So, depends. Anyhow, let's get back into this because we only have so much time. We have like 15 minutes left. So, what you would know if you go X-ray vision, like if you had X-ray vision, that's what you would see inside a normal padlock. And in here is a pin and tumbler system. It's very similar to, it's basically what most locks have around the world, and particularly in the United States. So you have a key that has all these different peaks and valleys with different bitting and such, right? And if you look in the lock, I don't know if it's going to show up on cam, but you'll see there's these like little soda cans on the top. Those are the key pins. Those are the driver pins. They drive the lock mechanisms with these springs. If I put in the key and I'm going to flip the lock around, I rotate it out, those little circles there that I'm flipping over here, I'm trying to get this in focus. Those little circles are called the key pins. They actually interact with the key. And normally, they're all keyed in such a way that some of the driver pins are too low, some of the key pins are too high, and so that shear line that you would need to rotate this plug to move the actuator to open the lock is, there's no place to move. It's physically impossible. I could literally take a turning tool in here, and no matter how much force I put on the lock, it won't open because of those pieces of metal in the way of the shear line. Even if I was Superman, I would basically bend and break this turning tool and never break this core tumbler. It would be basically impossible. Physics. There's a whole thing about Superman's key to the Fortress of Solitude. I'm going to cover that one day. I'm going to sneeze again. Ooh. Anyhow, very sneezy today. I might take some allergy meds later. So, when you get a key, these are cut to the way these are, all the key pins and driver pins are bitted to. That's what the cuts are called, bitting. So you notice how they're all chaotic up and down here. When I put the key in, again, it's going to be hard to see on camera. Hopefully next episode I'm going to get the elbow back or a better camera. And that way we'll do a quick do-over of this. This is just kind of like a quick, like, what I know about Dimple Locks and what I've learned from fucking with them. And you put that in, those key pins and driver pins go up and down. So these are all uneven. Some are lower, some are higher. But when I put the key in, if you'll notice, all those cans are now standing up all at the same height. Same thing with those key pins down below, which means now all the gap between the key pins and the driver pins have created an entire space for that plug to turn. And when you turn it, obviously, it engages with the actuator and the lock opens. Quick crash, we've done that multiple times before. Here's where things get nuts. So, when we covered an episode about different types of lock and different types of securities you can actually do for locks, for example, instead of having this open flat keyway like this, I don't have one on me right now, but you could have, do I have one up here? That's an even worse example. But essentially, you can have what's called a paracentric keyway, where it, like, S-snakes a lot and does a lot of different things, so you have to, like, move around the pieces of metal inside in order to get at those pins. That's one way to do it. You also can change the actual key pins and driver pins, spool pins, serrated pins and such. But a big one that lock companies rely on is simply to change the lock mechanism in some way. Again, it's over there right now, but we looked at tubular locks and how back when they came out in roughly the late 60s, mainly in the 70s. Why is my nose going crazy now? Hold on. Sneeze is coming. Must have been something of that laundromat. I hope I'm not getting, like, Megatron or whatever the new variant is right now. Also, it took me a little bit longer in the warding, sorry. That's the little pathways, the warding in the locks, making the paracentric keyway. In the laundromat, of course, when I show up, everyone and their mom is now there, unlike when I started out. So I had to, like, literally hunt for two dryers, but everything's drying right now. Ah, my life. FML. This episode should just be called FML. But anyhow, a technique that a lot of lock companies... God, I might have to blow my nose soon. That a lot of lock companies do is they just change the mechanism. And, like, for example, those tubular locks, which also are known as Chicago locks, when those locks came out in roughly the 70s, they were considered unpickable at the time. In fact, some companies who haven't gotten the memo yet still try to classify them as either unpickable, which that does not exist. There's no such thing as an unpickable lock. The only locks you can't pick open are locks that are broken, which means you can't open them anyhow, or they just open instantly because they don't work. But that style of lock, all they did was they took this line of driver pins and key pins, which are in a straight line, and they just made them into a circle. Same mechanisms and everything. Stumped lock pickers for many years until they started coming out with tensioning tools for that core, and in particular, what really killed it, similar to how warded locks got killed, is the tubular impression kit. Why is my... You know what? I hate to do this. Hold on. Sorry to be gross for a second. I have to go reach for a tissue. Actually, I'm just going to bring the entire tissue box over here, and I'm going to do something really gross on air, and I'm going to blow my nose. So sorry about this in advance. This is if you want to clip this is Sidepocket blowing his nose. You ready? Here we go. All right, that was the problem nostril. I was expecting like a leprechaun or something to shoot out of there. It's like, what are there canonical updates in there? Like, what the fuck? Fucking Ubuntu updates in my nostril. And by the way, I don't have any wipes on me right. Oh, actually, I do. I'm gonna actually. You know what I'll do? I'm gonna be super hygienic here. I'm gonna place that over there. I actually just got a new bag of wipes, which is actually kind of very important to have on your persons. when you're doing lock stuff, along with blue towels and lava soap, especially if you're repinning locks or doing any sort of surgery on them or lubing them up or whatever. And I'm going to now sanitize my hands so that all of this is clean right here. Yeah, that's what I mean. They're all pin tumbler locks, but it's kind of amazing, and I ran into this problem myself, to be honest, of how all lock companies have to do a lot of the times, this is what they classify as security, is to change just one part of the lock mechanism, even just something as just taking the same system and making it circular instead of a straight line, and it just confuses everybody. And that's why a lot of times, even today, they list these sort of locks as being high security and stuff. I'm going to tilt this up just slightly more. High security, because a lot of the times, like, you'll go to a tubular lock and, you know, you're kind of awesome with your lock picking EDC, but if you don't have an impressioner or something to tension that tubular lock core, you're shit out of luck. And, like, that's what a lot of them count on there. Yeah, blue towels are OP. Normal towels and blue towels. I have 2 blue shop towels up there for when I'm lubing locks over there right now, and we're repinning and stuff like that. And that's where these things come in. Now, here's what's kind of fascinating. First of all, I'm going to tell you a bit about what Dimple Locks are and where you can kind of find them. And you'll start noticing a pattern here where when I do my training kits, what I often do is I try to get a clear version, if I can, clear or cutaway version of that lock. And then I try to get at least 2, if not more, practical application locks. That means real world locks that are like this, if not practice ones. One that's really easy to do and is for beginners, and then I usually have at least one that's a little bit more of a challenge. They maybe have a security pin in them or just something about its design. But this is what is called a dimple lock, and at first it doesn't really look like, if you look at these on their profiles, it's the same Bible, it's the same Bible, it's the same Bible with spring tensions and all sorts of stuff down there, right? I mean, there's some weird extra, like driver pins and stuff at the top for some reason, but I'm guessing that's just a reinforcement design, right? But it's like, that's what it is. It's the same. There's springs in the Bible and the driver pins at the top of the core, and then, which you can't really see here, but I'll show you in a moment, there's key pins at the bottom, and in fact, the way this is cut, if I hold it this way, you can kind of see them better. And when you push these pins up and it creates the gap in the shear line, you can rotate it. Literally what they did with Dimple Locks, and what stumps people, and also so far has stumped me a little bit, is this. Let's look at the keyways here. So this is like 90% of locks right here. This is a pin and tumbler lock. I'm going to sneeze again. It's coming up. And you'll notice it has this vertical slot, and the key itself is cut in an up and down way, so that it just goes in, and it's using these, again, these warded, the bidding here to push these pins up and down in a vertical motion. Everything's vertical. This is a dimple lock key. You'll notice it looks very different, or it seems very different from a normal key. All they have done is they've taken almost the same key profile. Like, they're almost, if we had a blank, I mean, this is a different key model, but if we had a blank, it would just be like a piece of metal with some rivets, with some channels cut out of the side to do the warding. It's literally a similar, very, very similar key blanks. They would almost look indistinguishable. But the only thing that they've changed is, instead of cutting the bidding on the side of on the vertical underside or top side of the key like you would a normal pin and tumbler lock, they instead did cut out the bidding on the sides where you would normally have the little channels for the warding. And what makes this kind of fascinating is that if you, and again, it's really terrible with this camera here just because I don't have the Elmo, but if you look at them, it's just these little peaks and valleys, very subtle. So if you actually hold up a key next to it like that, you'll actually notice that the cuts that they've made in those channels are no different than the bidding cuts in a normal key, and that's literally how they work. That's why the keyway is horizontal. And essentially what they've done is now that those cuts in the bidding cuts on the sides here allows the key to slide in on its side, and it's doing the same thing where all these driver pins and key pins are online, but when you push them in, those little grooves in there, move them all so that all the cans, all the driver pins are at the top, all the key pins are at the bottom, and then when you turn, it turns the lock and it opens. Same mechanism. The only thing they did was made the keyway sideways, and because of that, they cut the bitting instead of on the top and the bottom, they cut it on its side, and they actually do it both ways, so that way if you turn no matter which way you stick the key in, upside down or right side up, it's still bitted properly. Tubular locks are so easy to impression that to decode to cut your own keyway. It's so much easier to do than Dimple Locks and Staring Locks. The math skills required. Also, Dimple Locks don't really have as big as changes in depth in the standard, but I've come across anyhow. Yeah, I would say that they seem to be lower cuts overall. Is you can do like super deep high cuts and valleys with a standard key, but the principle is still the same. Yeah, I hope your knee also because you clear up. Got Australia. Like, life's trying to kill me, life's trying to kill Delp. It's pretty nuts out there. So you're kind of thinking, well, okay, so they made it sideways. And by the way, the reason why there are two keys is because one of the weird things about this style of lock, which is this is the key European style of lock here. This is like, we usually just do one core like this. They usually do dual cores like this. Dual core. Inside joke. Is that you can actually key them two different sides. So you can have a separate indoor key from your outdoor key or whatever. That's why there's two keys. So you're kind of thinking, okay, so what's the big deal? It's just sideways, but it works the same exact way as most pin and tumbler locks. Why? What makes a difference here? Well, let's find out. So with the normal, we're going to take the clear one, and I'm going to use my offset hybrid here and my favorite super long, super heavy turning tool, their pry bar. You put the turning tool at the bottom, you put some tension on it, and then you go with your pick and you move the pins, try to find which ones are stuck. And honestly, I think I have to probably re-lube this again. Hold on, something got weird. There we go. There we go. All right. And you put them all into position, and then when they're all in position, that creates that gap, and you turn the turning tool and it opens. There you go. So I'm out on the field and I see one of these Dimple Locks. That's cool. So I'll do is, especially since this is a thicker one, I can put that in there. Cool, that tensions that. And let's go in with our tool. And this is the frickin' problem. Almost worked. Almost worked for that. I could get about 2 pins in and I'm stuck. Because that's the thing. Because this keyway is horizontal, your vertically designed tools that are curved and such to meet these designs, and just also the thickness of the tips and stuff like that, the tips, can't reach in there. So I can't, once I get past those first 2 pins, I'm stumped. And I'm going to try to, and this is a hint, I can try to go in on the side and do it, but these tips, even with this offset hybrid, are designed to a point. They're not really designed to curve around the warding and lift these pins into position, although I'm doing a decent job right now with this one for no reason. So that's kind of funny. But that's what makes this difficult to do. And you know, if you want to do something super easy, like with the other one, is that you have, like, for example, you have, where's my worm? Here's my worm. Like these rakes, which makes things really easy because you just put some light tension on it, you put the rake in, you move it a bit, and bam, it opens, right? Well, again, remember those profiles because rakes are designed for vertical. So you put in your tension tool and you tension it, and there is no way you can even attempt to fit this thing in here to do any form. Well, it might work a little bit on the side here, but it's like really hard. It's almost like impossible to do some raking here. It's pretty crazy. Like that's kind of the issue there. So like none of your profiles really work. I mean, I kind of put into a false set there, but you see what I mean. So basically, most if not all of your, except maybe if you have a thick enough tension tool, of your pick set that you would normally use for all these type of locks, even for tubular locks to some degree, don't work. And basically, it's now you have been defeated by security through obscurity. You don't have the tools that were designed for this lock, therefore, that's the actual security for it. Sometimes you see this in computing, you definitely see this a lot in locks. Yeah, I just did that there, and it like kind of worked. But the other thing also about that too is note that even for a dimple lock, again, these clear locks are designed so that they are they're supposed to be super easy to pick. Okay, a lot of the dimple locks that you might see on the field, they might have narrower pathways in this, or much more serious warding in them. We're gonna get to that in a moment. We're gonna have like about 10 minutes left in this episode. What was I going to say about the other thing about these? While I go and get the tool out, I'm going to open this box. I will say that another interesting wrinkle about dimple locks is that they are more common outside the United States. So I always say that for like normal these pin and tumbler locks where all the pins, key pins, driver pins are in a straight line, the keyway's vertical. That in America, this is 95 to 98% of all locks. I always say that in Europe and parts of Asia, that goes down to about 92 to 95% because a decent amount of locks will also end up being dimple locks. So I feel like the people who watch my show internationally are probably way more familiar with what I have in my hand. This also kind of handicaps me as America to the point where the only real dimple locks that you see in the United States are the ones that are actually high security. So like mul-t locks with their pins and their endless spools and driver pins, if I usually encounter a dimple lock and it's from the United States, it already has a ton of other security features. So you either have stupid simple shit like this you can order online, and then Fort Knox, and there's almost no in-between in terms of the United States. In fact, one of the hells that I'm going to have to look forward to is that when I do get, and I've been looking them up, including Master Locks, real locks for these, I essentially have to import all of them in order to get something that's beginner to intermediate friendly. I am eventually going to get a mul-t lock, and it's going to kill me and stuff, and I actually know where to get a clear mul-t lock so that people can practice on that. Secondhand lock market. In fact, I'll put it this way out there to spoil something. I really want on the 17th episode to do locks, dimple locks, from, I think they're called Rav Hashanah. It is an Israeli lock company. Fun fact, mul-t used to be their lock division of that Israeli company until I think they were bought out by some other company or they went independent, one of those two things. I think they were bought out. Now, if they were, I can't remember the company's name. More police. But when they became independent, then they had to make a new company or bought a different lock company to make their newer locks. And my problem with those, hey out there, hello there, Binary Badger. God, there's so many people now. It's like, should I start streaming at like 5 p.m. instead of 8 p.m.? I usually do later in the day simply because that allows me more time. I often oversleep on the weekends. I have things to do on the weekends. But maybe I'll move the time up for this because I'm shocked of how many people are actually watching now. I'm sad and disappointed because this is going to be such a short episode. We literally have about 5 to 8 minutes left. So, that's going to be my big pain in the ass, is that in America, when most people see, they don't even know this is dimple lock. They just think of this as a high security brand lock because most of these type of locks that we get in the United States are mul-t, are from like high-end lock manufacturers that have, in addition to this style, this design of the pin tumbler layout, they also have shit tons of their own custom spool pins and driver pins and check pins and terrible paracentricness and all sorts of stuff. So that's what most Americans are familiar with. In a lot of other places, especially I notice in Europe, particularly Western Europe, you can get these, Master Lock makes apparently a stupid simple one of these in the UK. Like they're in most normal locks, but that doesn't really exist in the United States. So unless I want a bunch of high security locks that are going to drive me crazy that are dimple lock designs, I have to go import them, which means I have to wait about a month or two. So just note about that. Oh, a large electronic box is nice. Yeah, I've seen multi-T locks on just storefronts, by the way, in Jersey City. So there you go. Yeah, you need a lot of the times the way Asa Alba is the same, where a lot of times with these high security locks, they're only done through business retailers, so you can't just like go and order them. And like in order to cut their keys, they need to be actually cut by the lock manufacturer themselves. You can't bring it to a locksmith because they're not allowed to do it. It has to be their own locksmiths from the company. But again, like as you've seen with the lockpicking lawyer and stuff, if someone sells it on eBay, there's nothing much you can do, you know, or Alibaba or any of the other scrupulous places where we get locks from. So, even though I'm going to be terrible at this, what do you use to defeat this if you're having trouble or you can't use normal tools? Well, someone figured out a while back, I don't know who, because lock sport has such a hazy history when you go back a certain amount, that you can pick these locks. It's the same technique, right? But instead of up and down, which doesn't work because this is horizontal, not vertical, you would need to go side to side. So you would need picks that are designed for this. And that's where someone came up with this. This is a Dimple lock pick. Sometimes, and in slang terms, are known as flag picks. And this is the default one. This is the one that works for me the best on this clear plastic lock, and I'm going to show you why. So you probably notice here is, again, here's your usual, I mean, this is the offset hybrid, but on the top here is your usual normal, let me do this, normal pin and tumbler lock. You know, again, it's a huge hump on the front, it's a big curve, and it's designed to be manipulated up and down vertically because you're in a vertical keyway. Now look at it next to a Dimple lock. You'll notice that all the Dimple lock heads have the same square flag-shaped design no matter which ones you get. But the other thing about them, which is trickier to see on this camera, is that while there are just straight flags, a lot of them also have different curves to get around that warding inside the lock. You'll also notice that compared to most lock picks that you can get, that all the standard pin tumbler lock ones, whether you're using them on tubular locks, cruciform, standard keyways, or whatever, their handles are wide at the top and they're flat on the side. Again, they're concussive to holding them resting in your hands and to be moved up and down. Most Dimple locks have rounded bottoms because what you're doing is you're picking, instead of going up and down, you're rotating it side to side. So using that flag to cup underneath the key pin, and that's how you're moving it up because you have such limited space. Again, you wouldn't be able to fit this type of lock in vertically, but if I go in from the side and I can rotate, I can move those key pins. Let's find a good one here. Can move those key pins up and down by rotating on the side, setting them in position. Now that I have a tool that can actually go through this, it is very much the same with as if I was doing any of the pin tumbler locks that I normally do. So it's the same techniques where I'm just trying to find ones that don't want to move. I'm pushing them into place. I'm still trying to find out the tension. I will be honest and say that I'm probably not going to end up picking one on air open. I'm not going to probably get this one simply due to multiple factors. One is time. I can't really be asked to do all of this in the limited time that I have. One of them just dropped. There we go. Just dropped again. I'm also probably doing this wrong because I know there's supposed to be a technique where you're supposed to rotate. Fuck, I fucked that one up. You're supposed to be able to rotate them, counter, like you're basically supposed to tension it counter to the rotation that you're picking. Things like that. So I actually should be pressing this down. And also, while I can use this sort of tensioner, a lot of Dimple picks actually uses these, in the UK they're called Z wrenches, we usually call them Z wrenches, but it's a very, like we have Z wrenches in normal pin tumblers, you just add the same thing at the top, at the bottom here. I don't carry them on me because I prefer these L-shaped twist styles. But even with this type of Z, you'll notice that they are smaller, flatter, and thicker, just like she likes it. And they're designed so that they could go on the super wide gap on one side and make it easier to tension that way. So that's what's going on there. Also, yes, much easier in a vise. I am getting a vise later this month. Again, this month's my birthday month, so I have a little bit to splurge on despite me trying to move. We're going to try to pick this for like probably 3 to 4 more minutes. Another issue, and I was going to do this on air if I have more time. I might wait to the next episode to do this. One of the reasons why this isn't making and crafting, besides the fact that we usually set it to this default setting, is that you're probably wondering, for all the pros out there, why did I get the cheap-ass Chinese one? Which, by the way, has a very terrible flaw, which in order to change these different flag heads out, it's a screw-on. Because some Chinese manufacturer thought, hey, you know what would be a good idea for the pick that we use to rotate? For it to be a screw-on instead of like a snap-on or a bolt, which means if you're not paying attention and you tension it the wrong way, like you have the flag on the opposite side, you can actually twist this enough where this starts to unscrew and thus you're not pushing anything. So that's a whole thing. This was the only one in stock that I could get online. Just for me, okay? And that could also show up in time. I went to lockpickworld.com. I love them, by the way. Really good website. They have a lot of stuff that I would normally that I would take forever to import that they have locally in my country. They did have, which I heard is better, the South Ord one, but it was out of stock, and they said 2 to 3 weeks. That wouldn't have made it time for this month. The other ones, they either didn't have in stock and or were outside of my current price range, or both. Because another problem with getting Dimple lock picks, in my opinion, is unless you're willing to wait for them and to get like the good Chinese ones from like, you know, AliExpress and Alibaba and stuff, you either get cheap pieces of shit like this. They work, but they're cheap pieces of shit, or super high end, costs $100+, and they're really good quality. But like that's it. There's no like, unlike these picks where like this one, you know, I got this in a whole set. I added some things, but this base set was like $50, and you can get a starting set that will basically do almost every single lock that doesn't have super high security in it for like $20. That almost doesn't exist. It's either it's affordable, it's $20 or $30, but it's cheap as fuck and it gets annoying, or you spend $1 billion on high-end ones. And in fact, one of the most annoying things was I wanted to do the Dimple Lock episode last year, and I was going to get Sparrow's Black Flag, which were a type of Dimple Locks picks that were designed by Lockpicking Lawyer. I always wanted a set of those, and I was broke at the time, and I got my money in from my job because they gave me a bonus and stuff, and right when the check came in, I went to Sparrow's website, and you can't get Black Flags anymore because they're going to redo them. And they said in late spring, but it's been late spring for a year now. So I have no idea when they're going to come back. If they ever do come back with new ones, I'm going to get them. So in the meantime, unless I want to spend $200 or I want to wait for like the Hux one on AliExpress and it might take a month or 3, I'm stuck with the cheapo one. Panavice. Yeah, I'm going to get a vise later on this month. I don't know if I'll make it by the next episode, but in May I'll have like a lightweight vise to put on here and a better table and all the bells and whistles. It's just this week's been crazy. The last thing I'm going to say about this, so that's why I originally put this making and crafting when I thought I was going to have 2 hours. It's hard to see on this camera, but all of these picks that came in from this cheap Chinese one, they just came like right out of the metal stamping, so it's really sharp edges. You can actually, I haven't done this yet, but I know people have cut themselves on these edges because they're that sharp and rough. So in a future episode, I would normally do this off camera. Maybe I'll do it with one of these, but in a future episode, probably the next one, I'm going to take all these heads on cam, and I'm going to get a new billion grit sandpaper sponge, and we will sand them down, because one of the big problems is that the good head ones, they kind of have this little wedge shape so that they can more easily slide underneath the pins as you push and pull through. These are really rugged. I often almost have this pick and then the rough edges get stuck on something, so when I push through or pull out, it drops a pin. I'm pretty sure once I sand these down so they're more smooth, I'll be able to pick this a lot easier because there'll be more competent dimple pins. So we're going to go one last run here where, again, I'm going in, I'm rotating, I'm scooping up the pin underneath, and I'm lifting it up above the shear line as I put tension, aka some counter rotation that I'm still working out. Just want to check something here. I'm still working out how much tension you actually do on these. Because that's always the thing with any of these locks is what tension you do. And again, this is the first time I've ever done dimple locks. I've been playing with this all week. I've had like 1 or 2 opens. And again, this reminds me of, I remember when it took me a week to do a Master Lock number 3 years ago. Like, that's why I sympathize with people. Like, everyone feels upset because they see all these other amazing pickers, like, you know, eat through all these locks in 2 seconds, and they're supposed to be super easy, and then they're sitting there being all stuck and everything. And I can completely relate to that frustration because we've all started off confused. I just overset that one. Confused and frustrated. And so what was kind of threw me for a loop is, and I know I have to like polish these tools more, but what makes me laugh is I love how, again, all they did was made this horizontal instead of vertical, and it's confused my American ass. Like, I'm all the way back working on that Master Lock number 3 for 1 week, trying to figure out what I've done wrong. You know, like, it just absolutely amuses me of, like, you just change one thing about a lock, and it's almost like it's a completely different lock, even though this uses the same principles as the pin and tumbler ones that I'm used to, which is probably why I'm getting away with this farther than most. Ah, damn, that one just dropped. But yeah, we're about to end the stream in a minute. Again, I am so sorry for how short the stream was, and I had to have a break in the middle and stuff. It's literally like I should be on transportation down to New York, but right after the stream, I'm going to grab my clothes. I'm going to take the fastest shower that any human has ever done, and I might hit up the green room. We're going to be at the green room in a different part of New Jersey later this month for 420, so stay tuned for that stream. I'm going to go in, and it should be a good time. I wouldn't be surprised if I get to the party bar, and see, this is what I mean with the rough edges. I'm stuck now as I have to pull everything out. And I pass out. Like, I would not be shocked if that happened. Just because, like, ooh, it's been that type of day. So I'm going to just do one more on the thicker side here. We'll go in and we'll rotate. We'll see how that goes. I'm actually going to do... Because my big issue right here is that, like, when I do super light tension, it doesn't seem like anything catches. It almost kind of works when I do heavy tension, but not really. So I've been, like, alternating between, like, medium light to heavy light, trying to figure out exactly what these pins get caught on. Because, unfortunately, like, I even looked up Lock Noob's video on, like, everything you know about dimple locks. I looked up a lot of dimple lock videos. And, you know, similar to how American Locks 1100s used to confuse me until I saw Fishpick's excellent video about how he got frustrated and conquered it. Sadly, as much as I love Lock Noob, like, his section on how to pick these things are, like, under a minute. And, like, all the problems I've been encountering with dimple locks so far is not covered in his dimple lock video, including like how much tension you would do for this clear lock, even though I'm very much aware that this clear lock is very different from if I actually picked a metal pin tumbler one. But usually in my experience, if I suck at the clear one, I'm gonna super suck at the brass one. So I'm keeping that in mind. Also to note that, like, there's completely different bidding on the other side. So I'm also have been trying to figure out, like, which one's, like, the easier one to pick, you know? That's been another thing. And, like, these rough edges are really driving me crazy. But, yeah, I would normally do this for, like, another hour and a half. But, unfortunately, I'm strapped for time. So that's going to be this episode. I hope you all learned a lot this episode, as much as I did the entire week I've had this kit. Also note in here, there's also these like handheld ones. These are supposed to be rakes, but I often find that these are basically the ones where if you're too lazy or you don't have time to put this in this stupid, dumb design for handles, use this. Yeah, my problem is when I do light tension, nothing seems to catch with this one, but it also might just because it's a clear lock. So, but thank you for that tip, Dalp. Again, I hope your leg gets better. So I hope you kind of got this nice crash course of, what's a dimple lock, what makes it different from your standard pin and tumbler lock that you see everywhere, that they work on the same exact principle, including the keys. It's just that the keyhole in it, most locks are horizontal. Are vertical. The dimple lock is horizontal. The key bitting and everything is horizontal. And that's the wrong one. And so because of that, while you can, depending on your equipment, might be able to get decently far with normal picks, you have to normally get a different type of pick, which are called flag picks to use. We will follow this up on a future episode. Our next episode will be the 17th. That will be Easter. Easter is a big time for me because I'm half Polish. And, okay, so you know how like St. Patrick's Day, it's supposed to be a religious holiday and everything, where like if you're Catholic and Irish, you go to church at 4 a.m. in the morning and pray. But both to most Irish Americans, Irish people, and just people around the world, St. Patrick's Day is like Irish Pride Day, and you wear green and you get completely wasted. Easter's kind of that way for Eastern Europeans, where basically it's our unofficial like Eastern European Pride Day, or in my case Polish Pride Day. So I basically do all the non-religious stuff for that holiday. I paint eggs, I get certain snacks that are Polish in origin, and I make certain types of Polish food, not only just general Polish food, but certain types of Polish food that you make on Easter. Who knows, maybe during that episode I might start off, you guys could watch me cook for a bit, and then we'll go into the locks. Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll see what type of locks and stuff I get in the next week, and I'll be able to announce that episode. So yeah, thank you for watching this episode. Again, I'm sorry it's so short, but unfortunately I have shit to do. If you are on Twitch, stay tuned. We are going to raid another person's channel. I don't know what's going to be playing at this early because we normally don't stream this early, but we will find someone, so stay tuned for that. Again, thank you for watching this. Thank you for abiding on the 2 main rules of lockpicking. If you do like the content that you've seen so far, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe on Twitch, D Live, and YouTube. Hack the Planet, exactly, I'm going to say it at the end. Right now, our website is still being like redone under construction, but well, first of all, you can check us out at different links, including our Twitter at DEFCON201NJ on Twitter and DEFCON201 on Instagram. I just posted a link tree to all of those. Because our website is currently down because we're restructuring it, you can go to our blog, which is defcon201.medium.com. We also have a link of our blog on that link tree I sent, as well as I believe most of our socials link back to our blog, so that's where that is. I'm hoping in the next like 2 to 3 days the website will be up. We'll have new certs and new sections and stuff. It'll be pretty cool. Just once I get past Monday, everything will be normal in terms of our scheduling. Because again, just too many people had, like literally starting on Friday. I still have more shit to do tomorrow. It's pretty nuts. So anyway, that's it for our show. Thank you for tuning in. Next episode on the 17th, which will also be Easter and during Passover, you might get a glimpse of me cooking, so that might be a cool thing. But depending on what comes in, regardless, we're going to definitely follow up more on this Dimple Lock stuff. I'll show you more stuff, and maybe we'll get a Rav Hishav, I hope I pronounced that right, lock from Israel. Might get mul-t lock and watch me go completely crazy on a real high security bullshit. Or we might have something completely unrelated. Maybe we'll cover egg-shaped doorknobs. Who knows? But I hope to see you on that next episode. We're also going to have different live streams, including my Crypto Barons on Saturday. So anyhow, thank you for the good luck hour travels. Again, if you're on Twitch like Tipsy is, stay tuned because we're going to go raid a stream on Twitch. Hack the Planet, Dirty Jersey represents, and remember, stop fucking in March. If you fuck a lot in March, in May. If you fuck a lot in May, it normally takes 9 months roughly for human gestation, which means your kid is born in late March, early April next year, and then I try to do a live stream, and then everything gets in my way. So just don't fuck when it's inconvenient for me, okay? That's all. Good luck in the music. Say hi to whoever we raid. See you next episode. Sorry for this being short. Peace, everybody.